Western, right? We are talking about auto wide, right? That is one of the important feature of Spring Core, right? So by defaultly auto wide works by type, right? So how exactly auto wide works by defaultly? It works by type, and if any conflict with the byte type, then next filter is going to be applied by name. And we have an annotation called primary, where you want to use if more than one bean, like if the bean is not able to resolve by type by name, then you can solve that issue by using at primary. But we don't use that in the real time application. We would use at qualifier. So if you found more than one bean of same type and by name also not matching, then we will use at qualifier. Okay. And yesterday we are trying to yesterday we tried a scenario where auto white is required true, right? So we have a party and the decoration is not available, and still we want to continue the party, right? So but our Spring application is not allowing us to do that, right? So but anyway, I'll do one thing. I'll just change this to party. Let it be party, right? So here in yesterday's example, the decoration was missing. Yes, the decoration was not there. So what is our plan? We would like to continue, right? We will still would like to continue our party without decoration. If the music is present, that itself is enough for us, right? So yesterday, yeah, we decided let's continue our party without decoration. So by defaultly, yeah, let me run the code and show you that exception for you one more time. See, the decoration is required to continue our party. So our Spring Boot application party is expecting decoration required. So let's make it optional. What should you do? Should have to do required equals to false. By default, it's true. Whether you specify required true or without required attribute, both are same, because by defaultly every auto void is mandatory required to. So you can make that optional by marking that as required false. The same party will continue now, right? The same party will continue without decoration. So let me go ahead and run the application. Now you will get the party printed on the console, right? There's the music. Oh, we have two parties. Yeah, we have two parties. Let's mark these two parties as required false and go ahead and run our application. So you can understood. Okay, now the two parties are available. One is with music Western and another one is with the classical music. Right, Western music and classical music, but decoration is not available. Yeah, we accept, right? Earlier we said no, decoration should be there, but now we accept, right? Now we accepted what we said, what we are saying. Okay, let's continue our party without decoration. So let's create one more class, right? So let's create one more class. Let's see one more example with the same concept, right? For the same concept, let's see one more example. So mark this as marriage, right? Yeah, mark this as marriage and create this marriage by using component. Yeah. So here we have marriage. Marriage has dependency. So can you tell me what are all the dependencies are required for marriage? The first one is music, right? Music. So I want classical music, right? I want classical music. I don't want Western music for marriage. So either you can specify classical music here, or else you can use qualifier, and here you can mention classical music. Okay. Just check whether any typo mistakes we did, right? Just go to Java configuration. It's classical music. And here we have classical music. Yes, classical music available, and we are also expecting decoration, right? So private uh, decoration. So um, some kind of decoration, right? Yeah. So yeah, any decoration is fine, right? We are not restricting flower decoration or some other decoration. Let's go to our Java configuration and add the decoration also. Let's create some decoration at the public decoration, uh, decoration, and create the decoration by like by passing some string, right? So let's say that flower decoration, right? Yeah, so it's a flower decoration we are doing. It's a flower decoration we are doing. Let's now we got the decoration also, right? Now we got the decoration also. So next, what uh, what we want? We want food, right? So auto white. Um, what we call like in occasionally the food section. What is like proper name naming convention we can use? If I directly call it as food, it won't be good, right? Uh,
Catering, I think.
okay, catering. Uh, so what is the spelling? C A T A. Do you know?
CATE,
C A T E cater R R, right?
RRING,
INC. Okay. So
RRI, I think 1 R.
okay, that's it. Okay, catering we are providing, right? So this time we are expecting this catering, right? Let's create a class called catering. Yeah, in the same way, whatever we are doing it till now for music and this one, add component. Okay, let's not add the components. Let's provide some word, right? So I'm gonna do something like this: private string uh, name, okay, and add a constructor, right? Add a constructor. Um, Catering, not zero or constructor. So we will specify what type of catering we're going to provide. Is it veg or non-veg? So yeah, we have a string and we're going to map this to the name. So I just going to override toString method, right? toString method. Just generate toString method and fields name. So we don't specify name and that. We just print the name directly, right? We just print the name directly. Okay. So catering, what the catering we are providing, whether it's a veg or non-veg. Yes, good. So let's go to our Java configuration, right, and add the catering bean. Okay, public catering. Just mark this as what catering. Okay. So return new catering, and here we're going to provide uh, non-veg, right? Let's assume non-veg, right? So in my while defining catering, I specify non-veg, right? And let's create another catering, right, called veg, right? So there are two options we have, right? Veg and non-veg. So veg and non-veg, yeah. So in your marriage, what you want, you have to specify by using get qualifier, and if I provide veg, then veg would be available. Just provide setters and getters. Select all setters and getters. Yes, setters and getters. So we're gonna get classical music, flower decoration, non-veg food to our cat. So I just print the data, right? Let's override toString method, generate toString fields, right? So directly print which music, which decoration, which catering. So let's go to the music, right? So I will remove the name music. Let's go to music. So when I say music, I don't want to print name and all. I just want to print the direct music, what music is, right? In the same way for the decoration also. So when I say print a decoration, I don't want to print this name word, just print the decoration. Decoration and what decoration we want to put. Okay. So any questions?
No.
Okay. What about this pop-up? Okay. Okay. So yeah. Now what I will do, let's go to our main class. So till now we are printing party information, right? So let's comment the party. Okay, we don't want party information printed. Let's print the marriage information, right? So uh, marriage equals to context dot get b, right? Get b, and here we go, right? We do um, marriage dot class. So we have only one marriage. That's why I'm directly getting the marriage, and I'm going to print the console. Okay, so it's going to be marriage, right? So let's run this and see whether we have all the details available to the marriage, right? Music, we are printing classical music. Decoration, we are printing decoration, right? What flower decoration, catering which. So let's go to marriage and just print the details in a much better understandable way, right? Print the details in the next line. So I'm just adding some line separator. Okay, line separator, and I just right? Line separator, and we just add some tab space, right? Tab space, line separator, and tab space. Just better format I want to print. Right? I just want to print it in better format. So first there is a line separator, and let's go back and run the application. Okay, so marriage, music. See, now we are getting the details printed on the different line, right? So that is what I added, line separator and tabs. So line, tab, right? So music, classical music, decoration, flower decoration, catering. Okay, so veg food. Okay, so now let's go to marriage, and now we got another request. Hey, I don't want veg, I want non-veg. Right? Yeah, it was supported, right? Let's go to your main, yeah, just change it to non-veg. Go to your main.java and rerun the application. Now our marriage is like classical music, like classical music, flower decoration, and non-veg, right? We got tomorrow some other customer, right? So he doesn't want classical music, he want Western music, right? Yes, Western music, Western music. Go ahead and run our last main class. Okay, so now we have marriage, like we are providing non-veg, flower decoration, Western music, right? So all of a sudden, like due to lockdown, we are able to not able to provide non-veg, right? So let's go to Java configuration and just comment this one, right? Yeah. So we decided no non-veg, only veg, right? But in our marriage, that guys are expecting, right? Western music and decoration and non-veg. So if we go ahead and run our main class, what will happen? We'll get an exception saying that non-veg is not available, right? So see, now the marriage got stopped, right? So user different being veg in Java configuring, right? So see, somewhere we could have been seeing non-veg. Where is that? The property name is not printing. Catering, so catering, so in our configuration, what we are expecting, non-veg, but the non-veg is not available. So what do we say, what do we do now? Can we continue with the vegetarian? Yes, right? So we negotiated with client at this point of time. Due to lockdown, we are not able to provide non-veg. Can you please adjust with the veg food? Yes, if the client is adjusted, then we will just change this to veg, right? Veg, and we rerun. Then the marriage has completed with the veg. Right? So either you can say if he is fully saying, hey, no, I don't want non-veg, right? I go for some other client. I don't want from you. I will provide myself. And what we will mark? We will mark this as a required false. Right? So some client came, no, at any point of cost, I want to be like, oh my, oh, we started recording, right? Yeah. Okay. I thought I forgot. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So some clients said, hey, I want this non-veg should be present. If you are not able to provide, just let me know. Right? I will get it from my side. Then we just mark it still required option. And we said we're not able to provide. So for that marriage, we're not going to provide food, right? So catering we don't provide, we provide decoration and music. Okay. So sometime if decoration also we are not able to provide, right? Then what we will do? We will just mark required false and go and remove that from Java configuration, right? So if you are not able to provide decoration, right? So okay, still due to lockdown, the client is okay to compromise with the decoration also. If I directly run, the marriage cannot be continued, right? The marriage cannot be continued, right? So we need decoration. What we can do? So for now, to complete this event, we will mark decoration not required, right? So we'll get mostly 4 or 5 um, attendees, right, for marriage. We no need decoration. So just music, the basic music is enough. So with the basic music, we have completed the. So that's how we're gonna use this auto white qualifier primary required true required false. Okay. So we are done with the auto white, but whatever we learned, it's a SDA, setter dependency injection. If you guys are good, and if you don't have any questions, then I will show you how to use auto white with constructor dependency. Any questions here?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, what's up? Morning, right? Or Jupiter, your batteries are still there. So till now, whatever we are seeing, it's just a kind of um, um, setter dependency injection, right? Setter dependency injection. So when you feel that you want to achieve immutability and you want to make the dependencies are mandatory, that time we do write constructor, right? So I'll now I say, hey, for marriage after lockdown. So let's assume that, yeah, I think from today in some states the lockdown is not there, right? So there are more relaxations, right? So from today I cannot compromise. Every dependency is required. Okay. Yeah, so 50 attendees are going to be attended to the marriage, right? So we cannot compromise. Yeah, music should be there. So whether it's a Western music or classical music, right? Western music or classical music, then let's add that, right? So we're going to, yeah. So what I will do, I'll just inject these dependencies to constructor, not to setter approach, right? So let's inject all these dependencies to constructor. Yes. So that is what is called a constructor dependency injection. So we're gonna get immutability. Of course, we need immutability, right? For marriage, for sure you need immutability, right? So for example, some people expect that veg, right? Veg catering. So you have to be immutable, right? Once they say veg, it has to be veg. If you're trying to change it to non-veg, that's it, right? So music, yeah, some people stick to they want classical music, right? So once you created an event, marriage event with classical music, it has to be classical event, right? You cannot say that, oh, I cannot provide classical music, I will change it to Western. Then your event organization will be put it in a case, right? Jail. Yeah, somebody saying catering veg, and you provide a no, I can't provide non-veg. I will provide non-veg means that's it, right? Yeah, people will directly beat you. No bargain, no no other something. They directly after eating food, they will come and show you all the power, right? Yeah. So we cannot say. So that's why we are making marriage as immutability, right? I want to achieve marriage like immutability. Okay, immutability. So I'm gonna create this marriage using XP. So now, if you have something written like this, right? If you have something like this, written something like this, so you can mark this constructor with auto wire. So auto wire will internally use constructor dependency injection. Auto wire will internally use constructor dependency injection. So when you get some kind of business, right? So event organizer, right? So you got some business for marriage. So we are making sure that we are executing marriage by, right, arg constructor, arg constructor. Yes. So marriage by arg constructor. We inject the music, we inject the decoration, we inject the catering. Okay. So yeah, let's go to Java configuration. At this time, apart from creating all this Western music, classic music, let's put the things back. Decoration. Let's um, right, let's enable the decoration. let's put the non-veg tag, right? So yeah, control shift here. Yeah, let's create marriage also. Let's create marriage also. We don't do auto while. I mean, we don't inject the dependencies. Simply create the marriage and leave, right? Simply create the marriage and leave. So marriage, while creating marriage, right? While creating marriage, what you have to do? You have to create something like this, right? Return new return new marriage. Then what you must do, you have to call the music here. So which music we want? We want classical music. Okay, we want classical music, and we want which decoration? We have only one decoration, yes, and we want which, right? Yes, and yeah, it's uh, yeah, just give marriage is here. Okay, if you just do something like this, now your constructor will be executed. Now your constructor will be executed, and that corresponding, right? That corresponding injectors will be injected. So we have classical music, decoration, and veg, right? So let's go to your main.java and rerun the code. So now your marriage has classical music, flower decoration, and veg. So you want to achieve, like you want to create one more, right? So once you create it, for example, if you have something like this and you remove the setter methods, right? Immutability. So setters not be provided. So you can just get it, right? You just get it. And if you wanted to create one more marriage, right? If we want to create one more marriage, then what you can do, you have to create one more time, right? One more time. So this time it's going to be non-veg. This time it's going to be instead of which this is going to be another marriage event. So what we do write something like this, right? So non-veg, yes. Let's go ahead and get the marriage to in your main.java. Last time we got one marriage, right? So this time we're gonna get and put the things in one line, right? So I just do sys out. Okay, I don't get it and print it in two lines, right? I don't do that in two lines. What I will do, I'll print it in one line. So this time we have to pass the ID, right? Because we have more than one marriage. If you don't pass the ID, what will happen? You'll get error, right? So this time I just pass the ID. So first we will print the marriage one details. Next we will print the marriage two details. So just run the code. Now we have two marriages and all two will automatically enter. So one is classical flower decoration with another one is classical flower decoration with non-veg. So we're gonna achieve immutability. You can't once you create it to change anything in this marriage event, you have to create another marriage event, right? You just fully reschedule it, right? Fully reschedule it, and and you can just do this one. You can try with the component now. Component and auto, right? Go to your Java configuration, right? Just delete it. Okay. So now we are trying to create this by using AutoWrite. Just doing something different now. AutoWrite with component. Okay. So we have music. So there are two musics are available, right? Two musics are available. Let's go and test classical music. Okay. Classical music. Then things will work now. Okay. Then things will work. Yeah, this start music equals to classical music. Now the constructor injection automatically happens. Let's go ahead and run. So we have only one marriage. Okay, so that is also one of the way you can create the beans. What happened? For which bean we are getting marriage, non-veg and veg. So we have two, right? Categories, two caterings we have, right? So marriage, veg and non-veg, right? Instead of saying veg, you can say catering, you can say veg. Now your marriage will be created with classic music, flower decoration, and veg. Catering, veg. What's up? Yeah, this should be veg. Let me go ahead and rerun the code. See, now you will get marriage created with classical music, flower decoration, and veg. And if you don't want to do this, you can still use a qualifier, no problem. Okay, you can still use the qualifier here. So it is also possible to use. qualifier, and here you can specify which type of food you want. You want veg or non-veg. Okay. So qualifier annotation can be used in at parameter level also with auto while in constructor dependency index. Okay. This is also possible.
Can
So
we use required false here?
if you use required false, yes, you can use. If any one of the, for example, let's see, classic flower and veg or else non-veg, right? Let's do a non-veg. Go to main.java. So now you create a marriage with the classical music, flower decoration, and non-veg food, right? So if the decoration is not available, let's go to Java configuration, right? If the decoration is not available, then you will get an error saying that required dependency missing, right? Required dependency missing. So yeah, let's go to main class and run. You will get an exception, right? Decoration is missing. Right? Decoration is missing. So what you can do, you can try something like this. Required. So whatever is missing can be ignored. And still your marriage will be created without decoration. Right? Without decoration. So this required. Okay, decoration is not found, right? So required has to be defined something like this. I don't think so. This will work. Required. This got deprecated. Okay, this got deprecated. Yeah, as we already discussed, right? We go for the constructor dependency injection when the dependencies are mandatory. That's why the required is not working with respect to required false is not working with respect to constructor dependency. So when some dependency is missing, so we cannot create those by using constructor dependency, right? So if you feel something is not required, then you have to choose setter dependency injection. Setter dependency injection. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is all about auto while, right? So we learned so many things with respect to auto while. So we put it on top of setter method. We put it on top of constructor. We added use primary, right? And we did qualifier, right? So we did so many parties. We enjoyed. I mean, we conducted so many marriages, right? So we shared. I mean, we conducted so many marriages, and we enjoyed so many parties with all the auto-wires, qualifiers, primary, right, exceptions, right, without writing any dependency injection. We still able to do all this, right, without doing any writing any configuration code. CDA, SDA, without doing any CDA, SDA, you're still able to complete all these things. Okay, so you do have practice. You do practice. You know, in your project, like you do play AutoWide a lot, right? You do play with AutoWide a lot, so you must have good knowledge on AutoWide. So this is all about AutoWide. Any questions do you have? Okay. The silence, I will consider it as uh, no questions. So what you guys are thinking, like, this is the easiest concept. I don't even I don't even need to explain. I just show you some kind of example. By just seeing that example, you can understand what is depends on what is being lazy initialization, right? Let's go to example directly, right? Depends on. So look at this example, right? We have birth, we have school, and we have job, and we have marriage, right? Obviously, we have some dependency, right? Yeah, to go to school, you have to just get born, right? Then after go to school, yeah, we need I mean, we'll get a job. So job has dependence with school. So without going school, you can't get the job, right? And after getting the job, obviously you get marriage, no escape, right? Yeah, yeah. So marriage has dependency with the job. So when I run this code, right, for example, let me remove all this dependency, right? So just gonna comment this. I just gonna comment this, save this file, job, comment this, save this file. right? I'm just removing the dependency, right? I'm just removing the dependency, right? We are just simply have plain four classes: birth, school, job, marriage, and just going to my main.java, and just go ahead and run the code, right? So can somebody give a guarantee saying that this without dependency, right? Without dependency, can somebody say all these things, all these events will happen in the same sequence, right? Like birth will be first, school will be next, job will be next, marriage will be next, right? So can we get any sequence without dependency? Depends on, can I, if I run the code, what is the output I'm going to get? Which bean will be created first? Can somebody guess? Hey, we are done with discussing lab.
Yeah.
Come back. Yeah.
First parameter will be created as a first
Yeah.
bean.
Right, so we cannot guarantee, right, which bean will be created first, right? If I go ahead and run my code, I cannot guarantee you that, hey, you born first, then go to school, then go to job. See, so first birth event, then job event, marriage event, school event, right? So we don't have any um, we don't have any life cycle, right? So randomly it's executing birth, job, marriage, school. If I run one more time, so this time we cannot expect, right? So it's this time, yeah, it's this time job first, marriage next, right? School even. So if you wanted to create some kind of dependency, right? So birth should be created first, right? Before school, right? Without any relationship, if you wanted to create some kind of dependency, so we'd use this depends on, right? So now for sure birth will be created first before school, right? So because we have added it depends. So now you just add the depends. Now you just add the depends. So first go to school, then come for the job, right? Without going school, if you just ask me the job, I cannot go, right? So I just creating the dependence, right? And somebody coming and asking, hey, I want marriage, right? Without job, somebody coming and asking, then I would say, first you go and get the job, earn some money, and come back to me. Then I will get you married, right? Get you married. So without job, I cannot get a spouse for you, right? So yes, at least for boys I can say that, right? At least for boys I can say, if you don't earn money, I cannot get it done for you, right? So it depends on job. You first get the job, earn some money, then come to me, then I will get married, right? I will just make you marry, right? So yeah, so now after adding the events, so now I can say guarantee, right? I can guarantee you birth will be printed first, next school will be printed, then job will be printed, finally marriage. Right, that's it. We're done. Okay, marriage, with it we are done, right? So we are done with all the enjoyments in your life. From marriage, after marriage, like you have to be life will be different, right?
Okay,
And
doctor.
one more event, right? Child's. Yeah, after child's, the life will like little more complicated than this. So I don't want to take to that level. Yes, but at least till marriage, I can maintain you that, right? I can control you. Okay, so I cannot say that child's marriage, no, like some exceptions would be there. If you just wanted to like live together, some kind of concept, yeah, you still can continue, and you can marry after some time if you really feel comfortable, right? Yeah, that is fine. But I don't want to take that level. It's just till marriage. I want to make sure the events are proper. Birth, job, school, marriage, right? So I want to create some dependency. To go to school, you must born, right? To get the job, you must go to school. To get married, you must get job. At least till that level, I can guarantee, right? I can create some dependence, right? If you wanted to create some dependency in your beans, right? Then you just wanted to provide this depends on, okay? And whenever you are using depends on, you can see that there is no relation, right? Marriage, no has relation, no is relation, but still I'm creating the dependency, right? Marriage, no is relation, no has relation with the job, but still I'm creating the dependency, right? So without he is a relation, has a relation, if you wanted to create some kind of dependency, then you use this it depends on. Okay, so not a complicated scenario, right? Very easy. Can I go to the next concept?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so next concept is being lazy initialization. So since day one, we are seeing this, right? This concept, right? Being lazy initialization. So in our first example itself, I told you, in my first example itself, I told you, right? So it's whether it's a Java configuration, XML configuration, or annotation configuration. So when my hello world bean is getting created, in my Spring Boot application, right? So can somebody tell me if I add a sysout in between, right? Um, this is line number 14, right? This is line number 14, right? And when I go to my hello world class, in constructor, I added some message, right? And I printing some message, and finally I'm getting the message and print. So if I run this code, this is our day one example. Okay, don't get confused now. This is, I think we already discussed 4 or 5 sessions before, right? So if I run this code, what is the output we're gonna get?
It will print the like line number 14
Line
first.
number 14 will be.
Okay, then let me open hello world also. Then once the line number 14 will be printed, yes, next.
I think first the constructor will get printed. The hello world initialization, zero bar constructor.
Okay, next.
And then the line 14 will print.
Okay, next. This message, right? Finally, this message will be printed. Yes, right? Yes.
Yeah.
First, the zero argument constructor will be printed, right? We already discussed this, right? Without printing anything, just creating the application context instance itself, your beans will get instantiated, right? All these are eager instantiated. Instantiation is going to happen, right? You just create the application context, which is nothing but creating the container. While creating the container itself, all your beans will be constructed, right? All your beans will be constructed and initialized. So if you are thinking that hello world constructor execution will print after line number 14, then that is wrong, right? So hello world constructor execution prints before printing this line, right? So first constructor followed by line number 14, right? So and once you get the bean, print the message, right? Now the message will be printed. So first constructor execution and line number 14 followed by the message. Constructor execution, line number 14 followed by the. So let me convert everything into error so that you can see the logs will be printing in the red in color, right? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So now what I will do, what I ask, I don't want hello world to be instantiated. I don't want hello world to be instantiated at the time of container instantiation, right? I don't want hello world to be created at the time of container creation. I want this hello world to be created when I perform a loop. Right? So whenever I am executing context.get bean, whenever I go and execute context.get bean, that time if my hello world want to be instantiated, what should we do? We should add lazy. What should we do? We should add lazy to my component, right? So now that there is a slight difference in output, right? So in configuration, we don't have configuration annotations, right? So this won't be working. So here I don't write any configuration. So let me delete this Java config too. Even though we are creating object, we don't have annotations, right? This is dummy. So my component only will work, and we attach the lazy, right? After lazy attachment, can somebody guess what is output now? Which line will be printed first?
Line number 14 will be the first.
Yes. Next.
Then the construction constructor statement.
Exactly, right? So last time what happened without lazy, right? Without lazy, by default it's eager. So first constructor will get executed. If you add the lazy and come back and execute the code, If you add the lazy and come back and execute the code, first line number 14 will be printed. Next constructor. Why constructor? Because we are expecting context.getBean hello world. Whenever you are performing the lookup, at the time the bean will be instantiated. So constructor got executed, followed by the message. So message will be printed on the console. So that's how the lazy will work. Right? So this is annotation way of doing it, right? This is annotation way of doing it. If you do the same thing using Java configuration, right? I deleted component and I deleted lazy, right? If you wanted to do that using Java configuration, so let's write the Java configuration, right? Configuration, and now we are using Java configuration. If you wanted to do that, the same thing by using Java configuration, now at bean level you have to add at lazy. Okay, at bean level you have to add at lazy. So if you use annotation, then this lazy will be side by component, right? If you are using Java configuration, this lazy will be side by bean. So I will show you how XML looks like. Okay, so in XML, right, XML configuration. So there is an attribute available at bean level called lazy init. Okay, lazy init. So lazy init, right? So this is what lazy init. So by default it's false. So giving default or false, both are same. Just if you give true, then this bean will be okay. This bean will be instantiated when you do context.get. So this is equivalent to at lazy annotation. Okay. So in XML configuration it looks something like this. In Java configuration it looks something like this. In annotation configuration it looks something like this. Okay, so I hope it's clear for you guys.
Yeah, but when we should use lazy? Like,
I will let you know. I will cover the requirement when to use. Okay, there are a few more things I want to cover before that. So, for example, if you wanted to apply all the bean configuration which are present inside this XML configuration, right? Root tag level default lazy init available. If you just make default lazy init, what will happen? It is applicable to all the beans. Okay, in if it is a Spring Boot application, an entire application you want to make it lazy, then you have to configure this property. At anyway, now you just assume that okay, this is the property which we're going to configure. Let's just assume that once we go to reading the configuration properties file in the Spring, that time you will come to know how to read properties file, right? How many ways we have, right? So that is a complete different concept. So reading the properties file is a huge concept in Spring. Okay, huge concept in Spring Boot. So when we are discussing that, I will let you know how to read it. Just for now, you just assume that okay, we have to configure some property to make your entire Spring Boot application as a lazy. Okay, yeah. So this is what we do at bean level. And if you wanted to make entire application lazy, right? Mostly every application, Spring application these days, Spring Boot application only. If you want to make entire application is lazy, you have to configure this in some properties file. Okay, yeah. So now it's time to understand when to use bean lazy initialization. Most of the times we don't do it. Right? The problem is if you make your application lazy, so instead of getting notified at the time of application startup, right? For example, let's assume that hello world bean is not available. So I didn't do the configuration. For example, I didn't do the configuration. So hello world bean will not be created by the Spring, will not be created. So what will happen if we if we do context.getBean in at the dynamic time? So that time you will get an exception, right? What exception you will get? No such bean definition exception, right? Instead of getting no such bean definition at runtime, it is better to be notified. It's better to be notified at the time of application startup, right? So make sure, right? Don't use lazy, right? It will unwantedly cause some runtime exception. Instead of doing that, it is better to make your application ready at the time of application startup. So even though we have this concept available in Spring, most of the projects we don't use it, right? If you use it, you will get unwantedly some kind of exception, right? Unwantedly you will get some kind of exception, so that won't be good. right? So never use lazy initialization in your application. Instead of getting runtime exceptions, right? Instead of getting runtime exceptions, it is better to get an exception while you are starting your application. So make sure your application is fully configured, right? All the beans are ready, all the dependency injections are injected, right? All the beans are ready, all the dependency injects are injected at the time of application startup time itself. So we have to, that is a good way of doing the things in microservices, right? So that's why you don't see the lazy initialization in most of the in Spring Boot applications. Even though that concept is available, you don't use it. Okay. And one more thing. Till now, are you guys are clear? Any questions do you have?
Yeah, yeah, I'm good. Actually.
Yeah. What about others?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I just want to mix, right? Lazy with auto white. Lazy with auto white. So till now we are doing parties and marriages, right? Let's go back. Let's go back, right? So if you mix lazy with auto white, what will happen? Your lazy becomes dummy, right? Your lazy becomes dummy because auto white, it will do auto wire immediately, right? After bean creation, it will do auto wire. For example, if your decoration or something is lazy, right? If your decoration is something is lazy, so let's go to the Java configuration, right? So if you make decoration lazy, but still there is no use, right? Still there is no use. Yeah, because your auto void will override the lazy, right? So auto void overrides the lazy. Even though you are mixing lazy with auto void, there is no use with the lazy because auto void performs auto void at the time itself, right? If even though you are making decoration lazy, it won't wait until you call get to decoration. No, right? Get to decoration because AutoWire internally use the same code, right? Context.getBean, right? Context.getBean. And one more benefit you're gonna get using AutoWire, if you do AutoWire, you no need to get the dependencies injected by using context.getBean, something like that. So using AutoWire will improve the way of writing more dependency injection code. Instead of doing dependency lookup, right? This does automatically dependencies inject, right? So this is what is the best way of writing dependency injection. So Spring container itself check for the dependency, it will be injected. It will be injected into the dependency will be injected into the dependence, right? The dependent. So it is like the best way of doing the dependency injection, right? Going forward, we have to avoid writing this context.getBean. I will let you know how to do that, right? I will let you know how to do that. But for now, right? So whenever you are mixing auto wide, right? Whenever you are mixing auto wide with lazy becomes dummy because this bean will be auto wide into marriage, right? So the decoration bean will be injected into marriage. So that injection is required immediately. So the lazy will be suppressed. So whenever we are mixing with lazy with auto wide, so lazy will be ignored. Anyway, we don't use that in the real-time project. Just for your idea, I'm just telling you that, right? In most of the times, you don't do that. If you mix something like this and you do auto while, so lazy becomes dummy, right? So that's why in most of the projects, you might never see this lazy, right? The persons who worked on any Spring project or some other project, right? They never seen this kind of lazy because most of the times we don't prefer. Okay, so that is all about being lazy initialization. Okay, being lazy initialization. So next we have one more very complicated concept, most confusing concept in Spring called scopes. And we have a concept called method injection. I could say this is the most like complicated concept in entire Spring. This is the most complicated concept. Okay, understanding this concept itself it's like a nightmare, and we have multiple solutions for this problem. Actually the problem is method injection. Whenever we are mixing two scopes, there is something goes wrong. So we can apply multiple solutions, right? So shall I continue this today, or can we take this tomorrow? Can we go ahead and do a initialization call then? We'll do one thing. So we have less people, right? So I could see the people are dropping. So what we will do, I will cover this tomorrow, scopes and method injection. because this is a very, very important concept. Like very rarely occurs, right? This situation is very rarely occurs, but for sure, who doesn't know this concept will get a unpredictable responses, right? He expects something, but the things won't work as he expected, right? So especially the method injection, whenever you are mixing two scope, this is architectural level kind of interview question, right? So architecture level kind of interview question, but sometimes it will be asked for developer also, like for sure, right? If some interviewer having good knowledge on Spring, he will ask this question for sure. Okay, he will ask this question for sure. Okay, but anyway, we will cover this tomorrow. We will discuss some easy concepts today. Okay, so initialization callbacks, destruction callbacks. Okay, initialization callbacks, destruction callbacks. So before we gonna discuss this topic, any questions do you have?
No questions, sir.
No questions.
No, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay, just before we continue, right? Yeah, just before we continue, I want to spend few minutes on Java fundamentals, right? Then we will come to, because these are callbacks, right? Life cycle mechanism. So I hope I would have explained you in our day one, right? Whenever we are discussing Java basics, we wrote a main method, right? We wrote a main method and we just simply print a sys out, and we covered few life cycles, right? So what exactly is going to happen? So first JVM will be created and it loads required, right, libraries. It loads required libraries. Then it will go and create the main thread, right? There is a main thread will be created, and this main thread will load main class into memory, right? And next main thread will identify main method, and that main method will be executed. Finally, main thread will be killed, right? Main thread will be killed, right? I'll put this reverse, right? Main thread will be killed, and then main class will be unloaded and main thread will be killed, and finally JVM will be shutting down. JVM will be shutting down. So we added some more spice to this, right? What we did, what would we do? I mean, what we did by the time in this class, we added some static blocks, right? Static blocks, and static variables, right? All the static blocks and static variables initialization happens at what time? Class loading, right? Static variables, static blocks we added, and then later we created some object, right? Then by creating object we added instance block, right? Instance block, instance variable. Okay, then finally we wrote a constructor, and we thought that the constructor will be executed while we are creating object, right? So this we already know. This is not something new, right? This is there since the Java is there, right? So this we already covered, and this we already learned as part of our first basic core Java session itself, right? So static block execution, static variable initialization, instance block execution, instance variable initialization, constructor execution, it happens as part of JVM itself, right? So while this constructor execution from here, right, from constructor execution onwards, who is going to be taking care in Spring? I think if you wrote an application and you say, hey Spring, can you please create a bean by executing this constructor, right? From here, Spring will get the control, right? From here, Spring will get the control. Spring will execute your constructor. That's the same mechanism. How it will execute the constructor, how it is getting executed in Java, the same way Spring also performs. And the object will be stored in method heap memory, right? Main thread will have a stack memory. Main class will be loaded into method area, right? All those concepts are already there and I already know, right? So, but Spring will get a control from which point onwards? By executing constructor. By executing constructor. If I wanted to do some kind of initialization, okay, clearly try to answer my question. Okay, I'm going to explain. I mean, I will just ask the question. Okay, so if I wanted to perform some initialization, right, in Spring, can we use static block?
Yes.
What about others? Can we use static block?
Yes, we can use.
Actually, that is a wrong answer. You cannot use static, right? So if you use static block, can you guarantee that my Spring is container is going to ready? Right? Static blocks cannot be, right? Because at the time of executing static block, your Spring container itself is not there, right? If you write static block, for example, let's
But
go
main
to
method will be there, no?
main method will be there. Main method, yeah, with main method execution, you cannot guarantee that. For example, I will do one small example here, right? So let's go to your main class. Let's go to your main class. So till now, whatever we are doing, we are doing something like this, right? We are getting the marriage party from context.getB, right? So we are doing dependency lookup, right? We are doing dependency lookup. Instead of doing dependency lookup, what I will do, I will do something like this. Auto while marriage, you do add private. Okay, I will remove, right? I will remove this context.getIn. So we avoided, what we avoided? We avoided dependency lookup code, right? We avoided dependency lookup code. I'm just going to add static. Yes. If I run this code, can I expect that marriage information will be printed on the console? Can I expect true or false? Can I expect that marriage information will be printed or false?
No.
No, sir.
Why? If it is no, then why no? If it is yes, then why yes? Okay. Yes. The answer is no. Yes, the answer is no. But why it is no? Since we are just instructing Spring. Can you be ready? Right? We are using Spring Boot and we are instructing Spring Boot to telling, hey, can you create the container and go and read all the beans? Can you get the beans ready? Yes, Spring Boot will internally backgroundly do that process, but this process will get executed asynchronously, right? This process will get executed asynchronously. So the marriage, right? Marriage is not going to be ready while printing marriage information, right? While printing marriage information, the marriage is not ready. So how we are controlling this situation? We are getting, right? We are holding the main thread execution, right? We are holding the main thread execution. So we are assigning to a variable. So we are holding this main thread execution and we are calling context.getPin. Then main thread will be blocked until your container is ready, right? Main thread will be blocked until your container is ready. But this is not the way of doing the things, right? What is the best way of doing the things? Using the dependency injection, not using the dependency
Lookup.
lookup, right? So this is what we want. This is what we want, right? So static variable, instance block, instance variable, you cannot guarantee, right? In static block, in static variable, instance block, in instance variable, even in constructor also, even while executing constructor also, you cannot guarantee that your dependency is ready, right? So these are there till in Java. So right, Java doesn't know anything about Spring. When Java people developing static block, instance block, constructor, do they know, oh, there is in future Spring will come, they will play with the dependencies, right? So our constructor, static block, static variable, instance block, instance variable not support Spring features, right? So they supports only Java. So now we need some space where I can guarantee, right? I need some space, right? Where I can guarantee, oh, after constructor, after bean creation, I want to perform some initialization, right? I want to perform some initialization where exactly I can write the code. So if I write in static block, I cannot guarantee that my container will be ready by the time. If I use static variable, I cannot guarantee that my container will be ready. If I use instance block, instance variable, constructor, still I cannot guarantee, because these are not related to Spring, right? These are related to Java. So I cannot guarantee that my Spring container is going to be ready in any one of these sections. Okay, in any one of this section. So if you want to write any initialization, right, if you want to write any initialization, right, then what is the approach you have to follow? You have to use Spring initialization callback mechanism, right? So all these initialization callback mechanisms will be executed after your constructor execution. So when this beans initialization callback mechanism. So when I said callback, right? If somebody is going to call that method, somebody is going to call that method, right? Like our main method, right? So are we calling the main method? No. Who is calling the main method? JVM, right? So it's a callback. Like who is calling this main method? JVM. So it's a callback, right? So we do write the configuration. So you do configure that. You don't need to call that method. Spring itself will call that method as part of lifecycle. As part of life cycle. So we understood, okay, all these concepts which are there till now, they're not going to support, right? They're not going to guarantee that after my container, after my bean creation only, they will execute that method. There is no guarantee, right? All these concepts will not support, right? I cannot guarantee if you write your Spring code, Spring logic inside a static block, static variable, instance block, instance variable, constructor. I cannot guarantee you that, oh, this bean will be created, then only that code will get executed. Nothing like that. There is no guarantee. So to give such a kind of guarantee, right? So if you implement initialization mechanism in your bean, right, in your bean, if you implement initialization mechanism, then only you can guarantee, okay, you can give a guarantee saying that I will execute this method after the bean creation only. Such a kind of guarantee you're going to give by when you implement initialization callback mechanism. Okay, so there are multiple ways we can do this, unfortunately, right? So we have multiple versions in Spring available, right? So that's the reason why we can do it in multiple ways. But we have some good practices, bad practices. We will learn all of this, right? We will learn all of this, and we will whenever we are writing, we follow good practice, right? We will go with the best practices, right? So we will learn one by one. Okay, we will learn one by one, and we will see, right? We will see whether that method is executing after constructor execution or not, right? So let's go to life cycle. Yeah, let's go to life cycle. Life cycle by interface. So we have interface called initialization B, right? We have interface called initialization. Yeah. So when you implement that interface, let me delete all these methods. Let me delete all these methods. Okay, so we have static block, we have instance method, we have instance block, whatever we have till now, those will be still there, right? We have constructor, okay? Constructor, yes, and we have some static method also. Methods not required. Let's not make more confused. So now we have instance block, instance variable, right? Static block, right? So all those things we have. Yeah. So if you wanted to implement a life cycle mechanism, we always starts with the the first way of in the world, right? When the Spring got introduced, they introduced an interface called initializing bean. They introduced an interface called initializing bean. So your bean has to implement that interface, right? Anytime you implement any interface, you must provide implementation for abstract methods which are present in that interface, right? Yeah. Otherwise your class cannot be instantiated. So whenever you implement initializing bean, you must provide implementation for after properties set. After properties set. So this is some initialization problem. Okay, initialization problem. Okay, so if any bean, right, if any bean, so when I said bean, what does that mean, right? That of that class is going to be instantiated and maintained by Spring, right? So any class which implements initializing bean, so they will provide implementation for after properties, and there is a guarantee now. Now there is a guarantee this method will execute after creating this bean. Right now we have some kind of guarantee. What guarantee we have? Okay, this method will always get executed, right? This method will always get executed when? After creating this initializing bean, after creating this initializing, after creating this life cycle interface bean. So now first static method will be executed, instance method will be executed, constructor will be executed. After executing all these things, after my constructor execution fully completed, then only my Spring will execute after property set, right? Any doubts? Let's go to your Java config class, right? You know, Java config. Yeah. So now, yeah, I'm just creating this class at configuration. Components cannot require, right? Not required. Just simple bean, right? I'm just creating object, right? We are not using component. Just doing Java configuration. Anything is fine. You can do component, you can do XML, you can do Java configuration, no problem. So when you are in your bean implements an initializing bean, when your bean implements initializing bean, what will happen? The after properties method will always get executed. After properties always will get executed after your constructor execution. So this is my main class, right? So I don't have manage and here. So just simple main class. Okay, simple main class. I just go and call application.run, right? Yeah, so I'm just creating the container and leaving, not even accessing it, right? I'm just leaving, creating the container and leaving. If I run this code, what output will be printed on the console? Would you able to follow me? Am I going fast?
Okay, it will print after properties set initialization.
That's it. What about others? Yes. Okay. Yeah. What about others? Yeah, you give some answer. Oh, no problem. Okay. If it is right or wrong, if it is right, I don't give any. If it is wrong, I don't pay. I don't ask you to pay any penalty. Just try, be interact, right? Just make the session interact. Say some answer. It can be wrong or right. It's fine. Then you can understood why it is wrong. Then you can understood why it is wrong. Right. I will explain you why it is wrong and why it is right. But what I'm doing now is a plain class, plain Pojo, which implements initializing bean, and I'm just instantiating this bean. So if you feel okay, you're writing too many calls, you remove this Java configuration, remove the Java configuration, go to your bean itself, right? Just two files, and this we are doing since so many days, so many classes. A simple class which implements initializing bean. We know static block, we know instance block, we know constructor, and we are overriding after properties, right? Method, and we are just have at component, and I'm just starting my application, right? I'm just starting my application. So as part of startup, my lifecycle bean will be created as per the eager instantiation mechanism. This bean will be instantiated at the time of container startup itself. So there are few lifecycle callbacks executes, right? So what is that? At the time of loading, yeah, to create object, the class has to be loaded. Yes, at the time of loading this class, the static block will execute it. Yes, and at the time of object creation, before constructor execution, this instance block will be executed. Yes, and before yeah, next constructor will get executed. All these three are nothing new, right? With the Java itself, we would have been getting it, right? So if you just do in Java, if you just do lifecycle lf equals to new lifecycle, right? And all these three concepts will be printed on the console. There is nothing new. Then what is something new here? This after property set, right? I can guarantee you that this, how many number of times you are running your application, it doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter. All the times your after properties will set execute. After properties set will get executed after your constructor execution only. So that is what is a life cycle, right? We have some sequence, right? So we have some sequence. So if I run this code, you could see static block, instance block, constructor, after properties set. Yes. If I run for 1,000 times, 2,000 times, There is no difference. I will get the same output, right? We have some sequence just because of life cycle, right? Life cycle. So now the static block get executed at the time of class loading into the memory. Instance block will get executed just before constructor execution. Constructor will get executed at the time of object creation, right? And after property set will get executed all the time after next immediate to your constructor execution. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
So this is what is the initialization lifecycle callback mechanism. But right, I could say if you write this code and they say that okay, done. I'm done with initialization callback. Next immediately I will say that I will give a code review. Can you remove this after property set from your bean? Right? What is my code review comment? Can you please remove this after property set from your bean? Right? If I give such a kind of code review comment, then what you will do, right? You want to perform some initialization, or you learn after initialization bean will do that. But I gave a code review saying that can you please remove this? Why I gave that comment, and what is the alternative? Okay, so why I gave that comment? First thing is implementing any Spring interface, right? Implementing any Spring interface on your bean. It's a very, very, very not bad, worst practice. Okay, it's not bad, it's worst. Never do this. Even though this is available, right? Even though this kind of feature is available, never implement any beans, never extend any classes, use annotations. Okay, that is what is the maximum you can do. If not, go for Java configuration, right? Minimum to minimum, go for XML configuration or Java configuration or annotation configuration, but never implement any interface and never extend any class, right? Never make your bean, right, to slave to any interface and any slave to any class. So this is not good practice, not good, it's worst actually. Okay, never do this in your entire project, right? Not only now, tomorrow you may work on any microservice, never do implement any interface, never do extend any class. At least for your beans, right? In your configuration you're doing up to somewhat it's okay. Extend some in your Java configuration, in your XML configuration, you are doing that, okay, it's fine. But in your beans, in your direct bean, if you are doing that, it's a very, very, very bad practice, right? So after properties feature is available, but it is not recommended, right? It is not recommended. Then what is the alternative? I want to write some initialization callback, and I got a code review saying that this is not the way of doing initialization callback. Then what is the next alternative we have, right? So the next alternative what we have is, okay, let's write a method where you want to perform initialization. Yes, initialization. Okay. Initialization, you just write that initialization. Okay, you just write that initialization and annotate that method, right? Annotate that method by using at post construct, right? So the name itself, that sound, right, itself is instructing post construct after constructor execution, right? Post construct after your constructor execution. If you annotate your method with at post construct, that will be executed. If you annotate your method with post construct, that will be executed. So now let's go to your main.java and rerun the code. Your code will run and compile, run and successfully. So you get the same kind of output. And if you just push this code to your repository and ask for do the code review, now your code review will be passed. Your code review will be passed. Okay, never ever do that. Okay, so that is one of the mechanism which was there since, I mean, when the Java Spring is born. Okay, initializing bean was there. It's like old mechanism, very, very old mechanism. It is not at all recommended approach. It is not at all recommended approach. Then what should we do? We should use at post construct. At post construct. Okay, so this is the way of doing annotation way, right? Post construct annotation, right? Annotation way you are doing it. If you wanted to configure something in your Java configuration, right? If you wanted to configure something in your Java configuration, for example, there is a class which already written by someone, right? So let's assume that there is a class which is already written by someone, right? He shared you the compiled dart class file, not the Java file, right? Let's assume that you have a class called lifecycle by interface already written by somebody, so you don't have access to that .java file, but still you wanted to add initialization callback, right? You wanted to make some method as initialization callback. Then write the Java configuration, right? Then write the Java configuration, right? Inside that Java configuration, right? You create an object bean for that lifecycle interface, bean for lifecycle interface, and in this bean you can specify which method you want to make it as initialization method, right? So if, for example, now I don't have access, let's assume that I don't have access to lifecycle by interface, but still I can create that, I can make that Java as a bean, right? Spring bean. How I can make that? Either you go for XML configuration or Java configuration, right? So XML configuration or Java configuration. At the time, you can make one method as an initialization method. How you can make it? You can call init method, and you have to specify what is the initialization method, and just go to your main.class and run in the code. You still get the same output, right? So when you don't have access to the specifying access to the source child, then you can control something like this, right? So you can still specify init method init. So this is the Java configuration. In XML, how do we do that? At bean tag level, right? At bean tag level, we have an attribute called init-method, right? You have a method called init-method. So like this is the approach in XML we follow, right? This is the approach in XML we follow to make one method as an init method, right? It is also possible to configure it globally. So default init method option is available. Default init option method in default init method option is available at root tag level. If you configure that, it assumes that, oh, every bean have that method, right? So Spring will try to execute that as a globally configured init method, but we don't do that because most of the beans will not have a life cycle mechanism, right? Most of the beans may not have these init methods, right? Init methods. So we don't define that globally. We go and define it bean level. So there are multiple ways you can configure it. One, using implements interface that is anyway it's completely bad practice. And another way of doing is annotating any particular vector with the post construct. Okay, post construct. And sometimes you not have access to that source. Sometimes you not have access to the source. Then how can you do that? By using at bean tag or XML bean tag, right? XML bean tag or at bean annotation. You have to specify init method. In XML we have init-method. Okay, so this is how we do configure lifecycle mechanisms in our bean. And one more magic what you can do, you can configure multiple, right? For example, you can all three you can configure in one go. We don't do that usually, right? Initializing bean, right? But it is possible, in one bean you can write after property set, at post construct, at you can configure that using. Okay, so this is also possible, but we don't do this, but it works fine, the constructor execution. Okay, we don't do this in the project, but it works fine. After sorry, this is at post construct. I already post construct. Okay, Java or XML initialization. Okay, so this is after property set, which is initializing bean after properties method. Okay, and this is post construct and Java XML initialization. So now we have all three, right? Right? So Java configuration execute init, and post construct automatically get executed by the annotation engine, and init after property set will be executed by executed by initializing bean. So if I run this code, what could be the output? Will be printed on the console.
All three will be
Yeah, all
printed.
three will be printed, but which order? So how we are answering, today India and Sri Lanka are paying, who will win? One team will win. Yeah, of course, one team will win. Right? But which team will win? That is my question.
Post construct will be the last one. Yes.
Okay, so you say
That's the
that
right question.
initializing bean, Java XML initialization, post construct is the last. What about others?
Sir, post construct will be last.
Don't give the same answer. If it is wrong answer, try something new. You say after property set will answer last.
First post construct.
Next, we have three. First post construct. Okay,
Next
this is
after property set.
So this is second. What is that? Of course, this is the last one, right? Yeah. Hari said this is first, this is second, and this is third, right? Chintesh said this is going to be the last, right? So according to Chintesh, this is the last. And I think Abhi or somebody said this is again last, right? What about your answer?
I think post construct will be first and Java XML initialization will be second.
After properties will be third. Yes. Good. What about others? Venkat, Jupudi. Okay. I will run this code. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Which one will be the first? No problem. Tell me.
Pass.
I don't understand what you are saying. Which one is the first? After property set or post construct or init? Okay, let me run the code. Okay, let me run the code. Right click. Let's see who is going to win. Run as Java application. Okay, Java application. See, post construct print first. Initializing bean is next. Java or XML is last. Okay, so post construct will be printed first. Initializing bean will be printed next. Java and XML will be printed last. Okay, so this is what is a life cycle mechanism. But in project, okay, we don't do this. If you do this, you will get a strong review comment saying that why you wrote all three, right? So you will get a strong review comment saying that remove any one of these. And all of a sudden, if you remove these two, you will get another review comment. Remove this implements initialization, right? So we don't use all three in the real time. Just this is still possible. Right, we don't use all three in real time, but still you do have to use wherever it is you get a requirement. You have to one out of them, but for sure after properties worst practice never use. But our learning purpose, I'm just teaching you. It's like a kind of bad practice. Okay, so either you have to choose post construct or init method. If you have access to the source, then you can add post construct. If you don't have access to the source, then do Java configuration and call init method. Somebody written init method already. Call that init method by configuring init method equals to init. Okay. So how we have instantiation callbacks. So how we have instantiation callback? The similar way we have destruction callbacks, right? So before JVM going to destroy your main class, right? So JVM will make your Java main class to garbage collector, right? So just before garbage collector going to destroy your method, which method will be executed in Java? Just before garbage collector going to destroy your method, which method will be executed in Java? Finalize, right? There is a finalize method in object class that method will be executed. So this method will be executed just before garbage collection, right? Just before garbage collection. But what is the problem with this method? You cannot guarantee, right? You cannot guarantee that this finalize method will always get executed, right? So you cannot guarantee, right? You cannot guarantee that finalize method will always get executed. So what you should do, you should have your own destruction mechanism, your own destruction mechanism. The same concept is applicable for Spring also. Spring has its own destruction mechanism, how it has initialization mechanism. Okay, but before that, let's override the finalize method and see whether that is printing or not. So let's go to my life cycle by interface. So let's override finalize. Okay, finalize. So I'm just going to print some message. Okay. Yeah, finalizing the object, right? So, but I cannot guarantee you that this will always be printed. Okay, I cannot guarantee you. So that's why most of the times we don't rely on the finalize block, right? See, it's not printed. So just run for a couple of times. Sometimes it may print, sometimes it may not, right? So if the garbage collector runs, it will print. If the garbage collector won't run, it may not be printed. So I cannot guarantee that whether the garbage collector will always be running or not. Okay, so I cannot guarantee it. Right, so how can I make sure, like at least I can request JVM to run the garbage collector? What should I do? I should call system, right? System.gc method. So we are requesting JVM to run the garbage collector. At that time, maybe JVM will accept your JVM will accept. It's not accepted, right? Nothing printed, right? Maybe sometimes may happen and sometimes may not happen. It is a request, right? So writing some kind of request letter to CM or minister, so that you cannot guarantee that that minister will read your right request letter and he will do the process, no, right? So we do our best, right? We do write a letter, but you cannot guarantee that may run, garbage collector may run or may not run. So that's why we most of the times, right? Not most of the times, like mostly we don't rely on the finalize method. So we need our own destruction callback mechanism, right? Destruction callback mechanism. So how we have initializing bean, we have disposable bean in a Spring. So this is for destruction callback mechanism, disposable bean, right? Let's start with an interface. Then anyway, implementing an interface is a bad practice, you know already. I know you have good memory power, right? So this is the bad practice, but still learning purpose we are doing it. So first let's import this. Let's go and override the method. So disposable bean has a method called destroy. So if you override this method will be executed. This method will be executed just before removing that object from the heap memory, right? So now I can guarantee you that this destroy method will always be printed, right? I cannot guarantee you for finalize method, but at least I can guarantee you that this destroy method will be executed just before destruction of that bean, right? Just before destruction of that bean, I can guarantee you, at least I can guarantee you for this destroy method, not for finalize method. But again, we will get a one more review comment saying that remove this disposable bean, right? Remove the disposable bean. Anyway, implementing interfaces or extending any classes is a bad practice. So what we do write our own destruction lifecycle mechanism, right? So we don't use interface implementation. So I call this before destruction, right? Before destruction. Okay, before destruction. So what I will do, I will annotate this method. Anyway, I will annotate this method with pre-destroy annotation, right? Pre-destroy. So this is the second way of doing, and this is a good practice. This is the bad practice, right? Implementing interface is a bad practice. Using pre-destroy method is a good practice. So let me remove this. Okay, let me comment. Anyway, we will try all together, right? So we will try all together. So we'll keep that aside. Okay. Yeah. So I'll just go and remove that, implement disposable bean, right now. Yeah, so that is a bad practice. So I deleted. I go ahead and run my main method. It will be called the same way how the interface mechanism we have Same way this will be called. Okay, so if you don't have access to the source code, then write another method, right? Another method. Okay, another method, right? Destroy by Java or XML config. Destroy by Java or XML config, right? So this method has to be configured, right? So if you don't have source code, then you have to configure that in your bean annotation level. Sorry, it's a destroy method at bean annotation level, or in XML configuration. How we have init method, the same way we have destroy method. So here you have to configure, and if you wanted to configure globally, still that is possible, but that is not a good practice. You know, you cannot guarantee that all the beans will follow the same approach. So even though we have default destroy method, we don't use that in the. So okay, either you use at the bean tag level or you use at a bean annotation level. So this method will be executed just before destruction of that Spring Bean, right? It's not disposable bean. Let me change the string, right? So Java XML destroy method. Java XML destroy method. So let's go ahead and run. Now you will see that Java XML destroy method printed on the. Okay, so these are all the lifecycle callback mechanism, and unfortunately, how we have in configuring multiple initialization callbacks. You can also configure multiple destruction callbacks. No problem at all. No problem at all. Okay, so can somebody guess disposable bin? So what could be the output we're going to get now? Now I want a complete output. Let me remove the spaces. I think you will not be able to see the complete file, right? Wherever I have extra spaces, I will remove. Just let me know what is the complete output of my file. If you are not able to say, just ping me on the chat. That is also fine. Still something is missing, right? Let me reduce the font size. Go to preferences. Type font here. Colors and fonts. Text font. Edit. And let's decrease the size to 9. Right. It is. Yeah, at least now we are able to see, right? So can you ping me on the chat? Everybody, please try. Okay, what could be the output?
Block instance constructor and at post construct. Java no initializing after property set initialization. Java XML initialization. And at pre-destroy, again disposable destroy, Java XML destroy.
Exactly, right? So we saw, right? Annotation is getting high priority. Yes, here also the same thing. Annotation will get the high priority. Next interface. Next is interface, and the least priority for Java and XML. So static block, yes. Instance block, yes. Constructor, these are already we know in Java itself. After constructor, first is post construct annotation. Next interface after property set. Finally, Java XML initialization. And while our Spring container is getting destroyed, right? So it will destroy this bean. So while destructing that bean, it will execute first annotation, right? Pre-destroy. Next in interface, and finally this one, right? Java XML configuration. Java XML configuration. Finalize method. No one can guarantee, right? So we don't know whether it will work or not. So let's go to main class and see whether we get the same output. Right? Static block, instance block, constructor, post construct, initializing with Java XML annotation. Finally, pre-destroy disposable bin, Java XML. Okay, you just try this. Okay, this is what your assignment today. Whatever I tried here, you just try this. Okay, sometimes we use this in our project. Sometimes we use this in our project. Okay. Yes. So this is all about initializing callbacks, and we can mix all these initialization callbacks also. There is no problem. You can try disposable bean, destroy method, pre-destroy, post construct, initializing in any method in a single bean. But anyway, we don't do that in our project, but just for having an knowledge, right? Having an idea, you can just go, you can just, at least the naming wording convention, right? You must remember that. Okay. Like, if you want to be master, then you should remember all this, right? If somebody is telling initializing bean, then you should not say what is initializing bean, right? You must say that is a predefined interface we use for bean initialization callback mechanism. Even though that is available, that is a bad practice. So use post construct, right? So you should say that answer. Or init method in XML or Java configuration, right? You must say that answer, right? If somebody saying initializing bean, then you should complete that phrase before he completing initializing bean. Okay. Yes. So that is all about initializing bean and destruction bean callback mechanism. So tomorrow is going to be very important session, you guys, for you guys.